Well. Welcome back to Clear the Ice, the Flyers postgame show here on the Edge of Philly Sports Network with your boy Matty B and the Gobblers joining me in house tonight. Pat, how you doing, man?
What's up, Matty B? My right hand man. What's going on?
Yeah, we're doing the crossover now. We're moving on to the Flyers now. You were a regular participant in the Fighting Final, which of course will resume again tomorrow night with Game 1 of the World Series. But now
Yeah, buddy.
here we are on the Clear the Ice. It's this is our second episode. I know it's not the second Flyers game, but we kind of got caught up in that Phillies wave, that red wave, if you will, and red wave will continue on this weekend. So we're trying to get a Clear the Ice. I almost said the Fighting's final. Clear the ice in right now, and I know it's probably going to be the last one until the World Series kind of works itself out. But it's great to be back to kind of catch people up with the Flyers, Pat. The team here in South Philly tonight in a hectic game held on to a 4-3 victory over the Florida Panthers to improve to 5-2. And Pat, if the season were to end today, the Flyers would be finished in first place in the Metropolitan Division, and we're going to the playoffs. Unfortunately, it's not ending today. Pat, what was your assessment of what happened down in South Philly tonight against the Panthers?
Oh, dude, Matty B. I'm back on that Travis Connecty train. I'm loving the TK. TK was your X factor tonight. I mean, right first period, you had TK setting up Scott Lofton. You had him setting up uh, uh, not Kevin Hayes, the other guy who scored in the first. Again, but
Angelo.
Scott Lofton, D'Angelo, right? I'm sorry. Yeah, he had the backward pass that Lofton. You set him up perfectly. I know D'Angelo. He set the backward pass up to D'Angelo. D'Angelo came up, shot it, across the bar. Beautiful. I mean, TK has been. They asked TK to step up his game when Sean Couturier went down, and he's held his end of the bargain. As a matter of fact, he's pretty much carried this team on his shoulders, and he's run with the football here. So I'm loving where I'm seeing from TK. He's actually
Pat,
being the
you're
leader.
a little confused, man. We're talking about a hockey team here. We're talking about
Sorry, sorry,
football.
sorry, baby. I'm so used to bringing up football. This is October. You talk about everything.
Yeah, good
So,
point.
um, but what I'm seeing though from TK and this team is resiliency, and they refuse to go down. They're another one of those teams. No one has an identity on. They don't have an identity on. No one has film on them yet, and they could beat you up in multiple directions. All I know is this is 2019 Flyers hockey, where if you are the opposing goaltender and you don't get your cover up the puck, the minute it ricochets, it gets rebounded on, they're ready to make you pay the penalty. They are creating plays in that offensive zone where you don't see it coming. And this is the beauty part. And TK is that guy to do that. Like I said, he was made two great plays today in that offensive zone where their opposing goalie did not see it coming. And he made, he was banging. They cashed in every time. So again, 4-3, again, towards the end of the game was a real nail biter, where Panthers they were getting their shots in, but this team stayed still and they fought off defensively. So again, you Carhart, this is the only night where he's usually giving up 1 to 2 goals a game. This is the only time he gave up third. Credit to the Florida Panthers. They're going to be a tough team. They're going to be a tough outing. They're going to be a tough team in the East. I definitely see that coming. They're a bunch of older veteran guys, but they can play and they're going to be tough to deal with. However, like I said, I definitely like what I see from Flyers, and I know, like you said, it's way too early, but as a Flyers fan, this is not what we expected. We expected an 0-5 team, and they're not playing that way. They're playing good hockey, and you got to credit that.
Yeah, and Carter Hart, as you mentioned, set a record tonight, or not really tied a record. He was the first Flyers goalie since Ron Hextall in the 94-95 season to begin the season 5-0. And
Cool.
I'm not the biggest Carter Hart in the world. I think he's a very above average goalie. I do not think he's generational, and I would trade him if the right offer did come around, especially for a team that is in need of as much scoring and other pieces that we are. But you got to give him credit. He faced 50 shots tonight, Pat. That's not a good sign when your defense allows 50 shots. But the Panthers were buzzing. But the Flyers did what they had to do, and Carter Hart was on his head. Let's go over a little bit on this game tonight, and let's talk about the X's and O's. The 3 stars, as you mentioned, Travis Konecny gets the first star of the night. Kevin Hayes gets the second star, and Barkov from the Panthers with the third star. Carter Hart shut out of star recognition tonight there, Gobbler. Is it because he gave up the 3 goals, or did he get kind of hosed on this deal here?
A little bit of both. He gave up 3 goals. He got a little hose, and like I said, I mean, and like I said earlier, you got to credit those Panthers. They kept on
Yeah.
bringing the pressure and bringing the pressure, and then finally, they knocked them a few times. So, but however, like I said, at the end of the night, we're victorious. So, yeah, but Carhartt, he's been playing better. Like you said, he's not the all Bendel. Well, he's not what we've been sold. But 5-0 undefeated at home, I'll take it. I'll take
Yeah,
it.
I'll take it too. How the scoring went down in Philly tonight. Frostling with the Panthers on the board first, as every team seems to do on the Flyers this year, as they get up on them early. It was the second goal assisted from Barkov, and man, welcome to hockey season. Virgo ready. They were the assists on that goal. Then Tony Langelo would get the Flyers right back in this thing with his second goal of the year from Konechny and Farabee. But then Murrow would get the Panthers back up in a very entertaining first period from Gudis and Colin White. And then Scott Lawton would round out the scoring in the first period, a power play goal from Travis Konechny and Kevin Hayes, and it was 2-2. That's how we went to intermission. And the Flyers were the only own goal to score two goals in the second period. McEwen and Farabee with the goals came kind of within about a minute of each other as the Flyers were kind of amping it up, took a 4-2 lead into the third period. And then Montour got the Panthers back within 4-3, but the Flyers fend off the Panthers throughout the rest of the third period, where they seemed to be on defense most of that period with the 4-3 win, thus improving the record now to 5-2 on the season. And as I mentioned, would be in with are in first place in the Metropolitan Division. Um, another stat I want to throw it out you, Golliver. Two things I want to talk about this team, because this is our second show, and we haven't talked, or I haven't done the show since the Devils, and a lot of stuff has happened in those 6 games that we haven't been here. Obviously, the injury bug continues to kind of suffer with this team. We got some bad news today about Sean Couturier and Cam Atkinson both suffering setbacks to their injuries. Probably won't see them for a while. You did get Tippett back. You did get Risto back tonight. Flyers went out and were active on the waiver wire, acquiring Kiefer Bellows, who was dropped by the New York Islanders, acquiring Lucas Sedlak from the Avalanche, who was dropped, and then also acquiring Evan Barrett in a trade with the Blackhawks for Cooper Zek. So the Flyers are trying to get some help there to kind of reinforce this team, because once again, the injury bug seems to be hitting this team a little bit higher than it seems that hits any other team, which I don't know what's going on. We've fired the medical staff, we fired the training staff, we've redone that whole department, but it doesn't seem to be helping this team out. But they're 5-2, and in that 5-2, some interesting victories. A road trip against the Lightning and the Panthers that, aside from a really bad game from Sanderson, the goalie, the Flyers might have won that Panther game. They were game, and they beat the Lightning. They went on the road and they beat the Predators. I mean, a really, really chippy, edgy road trip from this team. And then they come home and they lost the Sharks on Sunday, but then they come out here tonight in a big way, 4-3 victory, 5-2 on the season. I'm not bought in. I just don't think there's enough scoring here. But they're buying into what Tortorella is selling, and that's the big thing. And I said this before the season began. I don't expect them to win much more games than they did last year, but I do expect them to be more competitive. And so far, so good. There definitely seems that they're a lot more resilient than they were last year. I mean, they don't come back from 2-0. I mean, the first 6 games of the season, they've been behind and have battled their way back. So that's a good sign to see that they're resilient. And on the power play, this is what really what I wanted to talk about. So far, 5 for 22 on the power play this season, 23%, which to me is a hell of an improvement over last year's 12%. The final numbers on the power play last year, the Flyers were 28 for 233. So all signs are pointing upwards for the Flyers there, Pat. What is the one thing, or if there's more than one thing, what are the things that you're seeing that gets you so optimistic?
You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to sound like a jerk here, but keeping the Sean Couturiers and the Cam Atkinsons away from this team has me more excited than ever. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because those guys, especially Sean Couturier, if you look at his numbers from 2020 from now, has plummeted. Don't need him in. We don't need him no more. We don't need him in the lineup. We don't need the Cam Atkinsons. I want a team that's an unknown commodity that's going to fire on all cylinders like they're doing now. This team is an unknown. They're not being respected, and they are slowly but surely gaining respect by the NHL, and that's what they're doing. They are taking names and kicking ass, and they're all out names, so they're going to only have to do one thing: kick some ass, and they are hurting people. The Flyers here have a way to get in the offensive zone and make you pay the penalty because somebody wants to make the name for themselves. Again, you keep the Sean Couturiers away, and look, their only bad games are back to backs. That's the only thing that sucks, and that's the thing that hurts them. It's no excuse. John Tortorella made that clear in the press conference. It's no excuse, but this is what it is. But look, if they can fix their back to backs and somehow turn it around, I'll be okay. So, Matt, I'll be right with you in the back. I gotta go to the bathroom. So,
Yeah. No. Take your time. I'll continue on without you. I think I can do this. Yeah, I agree with what he said. Um, not so much in the point where Sean Couturier being away from this team or Cam Atkinson being away from this team because these players are keeping up a ton of money, and if we're gonna move on without them, then let's be expeditious about it and move on without them. I would still want them in the lineup. They're scoring. We need scoring. We don't have it. And in the long run, over 82 games, they're just not going to be able to compete that way. But the message seems to be being received, and that is what you want to hear. And the Fish Hobby says, Torts starts off strong with teams and coaches, but in the end, the players lose faith in the style of coaching. Been a history of this. Oh yeah, and I don't doubt that. But he also won a Stanley Cup, so hopefully the message is being received until that point. After that, yeah, I understand, and that's the style of coach that he is, and those types of coaches, it does kind of happen like that, especially if the wins don't kind of come early and stacking things up early. Um, Flyers and the Bruins are the only two teams in the Eastern Conference with double-digit points, and obviously 5-2 at 10 points, and I think the Bruins have 14 points. It's way too early to get any kind of excited about long-term success, especially with the Flyers' injury issues and with their lack of scoring depth. But the thing is this: Travis Konechny, who has been playing the best hockey he's played since his rookie year, and it's evident. He's a goal scoring machine. Uh, he's been given opportunities within the system to be good, and he's being good. And they're going to need him to have like a 40 goal scoring season if they want to compete, if they want to be a playoff competition. Joel Farabee is going to have to score about 35 goals. Tippett, who's back in the lineup tonight, thankfully, he's going to chip in with about 20. Wade Allison is going to have to put in about 20. So there's a lot of things that have to have this young team to kind of compete for playoff spot. I'm not saying they can't, but the realistic sense of all this is that they're not going to, and that's okay with me. I told you this from the season began that I would expect from the Flyers to be a very competitive team, to be an edgier team, to be a little bit more disciplined team. They're still committing a little too many more penalties that for me, but they're going to be in games. Instead of losing games 4-1, they're going to lose them 4-3. Instead of losing them, 3-1, they're going to lose 4-3 or something like that. So to me, everything seems to be on track for what I'm seeing with this team. The young kids are getting an opportunity to play when healthy, and we're moving on as we need to be. Let's take a look now, though, on a segment on the show that we started on game one. It's called the Connor Bednar Watch. Of course, we all know Connor. Connor is the next greatest thing in hockey. He's a 17-year-old center for the Regina Pats of the Western Hockey League. He'll be draft eligible this summer, and he is the consensus number one pick. And let's take a look at what Connor's been up to so far this season. 13 games played. He's got 10 goals, 12 assists, 22 points, 20 penalty minutes for a +4. Wow. That's pretty impressive for a 17-year-old kid playing in major junior hockey in the CHL. I am definitely impressed by that. So there's your Connor Bednar look-in as the Flyers are probably vying for maybe an opportunity to be Connor's home. Back to tonight's action, though. A couple things that I want to talk to you about. A couple things that I saw that were concerning to me. The 50 goals given up is very concerning. This team cannot live like that. The Panthers were, for the most part, living the game in the Flyers zone. The Flyers did have multiple problems handling the puck and keeping pressure on the Panthers in their zone, which has been a trademark of this team over the last couple of seasons, where they cannot, establish and maintain their offensive zone presence. The Panthers were pretty much owning that tempo. They were clearing it out and then living in the Flyers end all night long. And luckily Flyers, Carter Hart did play well, and they were able to fend it off. But you cannot live by giving up 50 shots on net, and that's not a good thing. But the Flyers, once again, for the most part, kept their in front of their net clean. If you looked at the 3 goals that Carter Hart gave up, they were kind of on Carter Hart. There was a rebound. I think the 3rd goal the Panthers scored on the power play, the rebound that was scored had Carter out of position. Farabee was out of position. Maybe you give that to the defense, but for the most part, the goals in my estimation were all on Carter Hart. That's a good and a bad thing at the same time. Good is that the defense is in position. The players are moving. The players are filling their gaps. They're filling the lanes. They're doing what they have to do. They're just getting let down by the goalie. So the 3 goals that Carter Hart did give up tonight were pretty much on him, in my estimation, which is a good thing. I'm trying to tell you that's a good thing because this team has not been very good with coverage over the last season plus. They're consistently out of position over the last season plus. I'm not seeing much of that this year. It's a much improved way that they're playing hockey in their own end. And on the offensive end, when they are established, they're moving the puck around fast, quick. They're opportunistic with their shots. It's a good thing to see. They're just still having problems establishing offensive zone presence. That is still an issue with this team that they're trying to work through. Power play seems to be going good. 5 for 22, as I mentioned. I will take it. That's outstanding. 5 for 22. 23%. I'll take that. So all signs are pointing well. This is pretty much the team that I expected the Flyers to be. Very concerned about the injuries. The additions of Barrett, who's in Lehigh. Sedlak, who I believe may be the Flyers. I'm not really sure with him. Bellows is the most interesting pick here. He was taken a few picks ahead of German Rustov back in 2016. A lot of people in this town were clamoring for Hextall to move up to get Bellows. He's a U.S. He came out of the U.S. national program. At the time, he was really highly, touted coming out. Really hasn't figured out his NHL game yet. Lack of hockey IQ and skating issues have plagued him throughout his time with the Islanders. Hopefully, the fresh start here with Philadelphia Flyers is a fresh start for him on his career. Listen, this was a no-brainer for the Flyers. They needed to get this kid. We needed the scoring help. We're down to we think we dressed 11 forwards tonight. We need some depth. He'll provide that depth and maybe chip in 15 goals this season. Who knows? But a good move by Chuck Fletcher, an easy move, low-hanging fruit move to claim him. I'm liking that. I'm going to be interested to see how he fits in with this young group. This could be a steal. It really could be. So, Flyers very active on the waiver wire. Since we last spoke back on game one. And again, I apologize for that, folks. I really do. But we're caught up in Phillies fever here, and these games seem to be kind of offsetting with each other. The next Flyers, of course, will be battling the Hurricanes on Saturday. We will not be doing Clear the Ice on Saturday. We'll be back to the Fighting's final. November's coming. Baseball's going to end eventually, and then we'll be back we'll get into this thing on the regular. I promise you that. So just bear with me for a few more weeks, and we'll get to Clear the Ice more regularly. But remember what we got going on here on the EOP network. Just about new stuff every day. Tonight you had Round Mound, the attacking third, and then of course the Clear the Ice show. Tomorrow, Chalk Talk, Green Hour, some Sixer Raptor post game, and then I'll be back tomorrow night wrapping up Game 1 of the World Series. Phillies, Astros, and the Fighting's final. So continue to look out for what we got going on here on the network. And don't forget, Sunday, we got Eagles, we got Steelers. We got you covered. Pre, post, and halftime coverage. Anything you're required to know about this game between us and the Painted Lions and Devereaux Sports, definitely be looking out for that. Don't forget Phillies sports trips. They're working something out, I think, with that Houston trip in reference to the World Series. But head over there to their website, see what they got going on. If that's not the case for you, if you're not looking for that, they got Flyer stuff this winter. They got Sixer stuff this winter. They got Phillies spring training stuff for next year already out. Go ahead and check them out. Also, go ahead and check out the tailgate party over at the Gatehouse, aka the Navy Yard, which will be in full swing this week as the Eagles are home against the Steelers. Head over to phillysportstrips.com and see what they got to offer. And then also, if you get in too deep, right, with all this celebration and all this joyousness in the city right now with our sports teams, if you maybe had one too many and punched one too many light bulbs give this guy a call, Dave Cherry, at 610-565-0300 for workman's comp, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, criminal law, OPM man, and he shall take great care of you. And don't forget, if you're looking for a place to watch the World Series and you're in Delco, and obviously, and there's something actually in game, there's a whole, I don't have the graphic, man, but there's, I believe, game one, Tommy Green, Lenny Dykstra, and Mickey Morandini will be making appearances at Dolan's Bar. I believe Tommy Green game one, Dykstra game two, potentially. Go ahead and over to their website and take a look at it. But if you want to watch the World Series with some former 1993 Philadelphia Phillies, head on over to Dolan's Bar over there in Delco and enjoy yourself. Folks, it's going to wrap me up. I want to thank the Gobbler who nature calls. Hey, when nature calls, nature calls. I'm not going to be the one to stop them there. I'm going to thank you guys for joining in. Flyers over the Florida down. If it were to tonight, your Philadelphia Flyers would be in first place and on the way to the playoffs. So until we talk again, I'd like to tell you when I'll be back again, but I can't right now. But until we talk again, you guys take care and go Flyers.